Thank you. One of the best parts of speaking from the rock is you get to take your mask off. Well, I'm right about just about everything, and you know what? I really like it. It is very comfortable and certainly makes life simple. I know that the ideal pie is strawberry rhubarb. No, it's not apple. No, it's not cherry. If we're talking ice cream, I can't even fathom somebody who appreciates vanilla or strawberry. We definitely are talking chocolate. But let's be precise about what kind of chocolate. Not milk chocolate. We're talking dark chocolate. And ideally gelato, not ice cream. So absolutely chocolate. I had a girlfriend in my college years who challenged me once and said, "I bet you think that God prefers natural flowers to plastic flowers," to which I said, "Of course." So I got that right. And I know that the only proper boat is a sailboat and not a motorboat. That's obvious. And we're not even going to talk about pizza. We're going to let that one go. Karen and I grew up Catholic with the assurance that we were living the right religion, but we were worried about our dear childhood friends who were all going to go to hell because they weren't Catholics. And so we did pray for them, but unfortunately didn't convert any of them to the right way, not that we know of. So we don't know how all that worked out. Being right and comfortable gets difficult when we interact with other human beings. You may have noticed that, those misguided human beings. So who am I to speak to this topic? Well, I'm a professional marital psychologist, and I've been working with couples in conflict for more than 20 years. And many individual counselors really don't like to work with couples. You know, if I'm working with a solo client and they reference a horrible remark that their partner made, all I have to say is, "That sounds terrible," and my work is done, okay? Getting the couple together to a better place is another kind of task. By the way, even couples counseling, we know that clients secretly wish that the psychologist would jump up and state that they are clearly in the right on the given topic and their partner is completely wrong. And I've been in couples counseling myself, and I've had that dream of that happening. And I was working with somebody who knew their stuff, and it never happened. So I'm a big fan of going to the dictionary when I give a talk. And right is defined as conforming to fact or truth. Righteousness, which I thought was about overzealousness, is not about overzealousness according to Webster. Righteousness is defined as acting in according with divine law or moral right. And we in this room have a precise idea what moral right is, and people outside this room, and we're not so sure about. Arrogance is an attitude of superiority manifested in an overbearing manner, and humility is freedom from pride or arrogance. And as an aside, one of the more noteworthy events in the spiritual landscape that I've observed is not so very long ago when the Pope garnered my respect, responding to a question about homosexuality, and he said, "Who am I to judge?" And if you know Catholicism, the Pope, who tends to be kind of like a God's right hand side, for him to say, "Who am I to judge?" That was a striking thing for him to say. God bless him. So how do we avoid lapsing into arrogance when we address heartfelt topics? Nobody said that being a Unitarian was going to be easy. And especially difficult, how does one deal with hostile remarks from others on these topics? How do we resist the impulse to respond to hostility with our own hostility? You know, we can look to the last maybe 6 years and know that some events have not exactly invited our best selves either. This is where it's difficult to live our values and take the high road. Being right on cultural and political issues is tough. I'm part of an extended family on my mom and dad's side and a card-carrying member of Karen Barnes' extended family. And we haven't talked politics in the last 5 or 6 years. I have cautiously reached out to a conservative brother-in-law, and we've had a couple short conversations that have just been wonderful. He really listened to me, and I really listened to him. And I'm pretty sure that he hardly ever talks to liberals. And if I can be completely honest, I have few conversations with conservatives. We've all gotten into our silos, and there's very little cross-talk across the divide, and I don't think that's for the greater good. My clients tell me that they rarely talk across the political divide. The common solution across many families is to avoid these issues completely. So how did this stuff begin to get worked out? How does one begin these difficult conversations? Well, a couple suggestions. Begin difficult conversations when you have privacy. Doing this with an audience just makes it very, very difficult, and it's hard to be relaxed with an audience, I think. You don't ideally want to, over Thanksgiving dinner, say, well, let's talk about choice, okay? Not a great venue. The audience increases the pressure, and that's the last thing these conversations need. A great opportunity, at least in my experience, one of the greatest opportunities to have a high-quality conversation with somebody in the family is any kind of an excuse to go out and spend some time together solo. So, if you need more ice, you volunteer to go with somebody else in the family to go get ice, and you have 5 or 10 minutes together, or pick up more sugar. You might begin suggesting that or guess you and they see things differently on some of these issues, and let them know that you'd like to better understand how they see things. Don't presume that they want to understand you, but they might. Listen hard, really hard. This is not about a debate. Resist the impulse to challenge their facts or opinions. The goal here is to understand, and the goal here is to let them know you understand. There's a whole school of psychology built around the practice of very deep listening and communicating that understanding. There's not a lot of listening going on out there. Even for those people that we're really pretty crazy about, most communications are kind of like dueling monologues. And really tuning into the other side is a wonderful thing, and it is really not so easy. If you are really understanding another, you will be able to digest their remarks and be able to say something like, so you are saying, and trying to capture their perspective. For example, if someone were to say, I don't believe liberals ever gave the ex-president a chance, you might paraphrase and say something like, so you think liberals weren't being fair from the very beginning? What you want to let them know is you get the way they see things. Your paraphrasing demonstrates you're trying hard to get where they're coming from and are deeply listening. Often, but not always, they will say more as you show them that you really do want to understand them. People will be cautious and untrusting, so go slow. People on the other side of the cultural war see us as condescending and arrogant. They look for signs that we think we're better or smarter than they are. Classically, what's the divide? Well, the people on the blue side tend to be more urban, they tend to be more affluent, they tend to be better educated. Does anybody in the room know who the best educated denomination in the United States happens to be? Yeah, Unitarians. So something to be very proud of, not get carried away with that pride. Something to be proud of, but also know that in some ways it complicates a lot of your exchanges with other folks, okay? Mastering paraphrasing takes a lot of work. Let me give you another example. If somebody happens to say something like, this computer, Karen, you'd appreciate this computer is driving me crazy. something that I hear on occasion. A paraphrase would be something like, so you and the computer are having a bad day. You want to let them know that you get it, as opposed to offering a quick solution. Mastering the paraphrase takes a lot of work. Don't presume that you can charge into a deep conversation with Uncle Fred and be able to paraphrase when you want to. You're not going to be able to walk out of this service and jump into a high-pressured conversation with somebody, because paraphrasing takes practice, practice, practice. When I was at Indiana University, where I got my master's and doctorate, they worked me on paraphrasing for like 5 years. So it won't take you 5 years, but it's not going to take you 2 minutes. The more that you practice, the better you will be at it. So paraphrase with friends, paraphrase with the grocery clerk. Most people are really not used to being listened to. So you might catch them a little bit off guard when you paraphrase them. But they'll be pleased. Paraphrasing can enrich every relationship you have. You don't do it all the time, but occasionally let people you care about know that you're really trying to listen and understand them. Kids are used to having adults tell them what to do and coach them and give them our well-earned wisdom. But if you just let them know that you're kind of like listening to them, they really love it. They flourish. Spouses like it too, that I understand. This is a major beginning strategy. We have a long way to go. It's important to let our brothers and sister Americans know that we want to find a way to live well together. A little later in this service, Karen's going to tell you about an organization that we happen to think is on the right track and hopes to bring us together.